Yo, what is going on? And welcome in to a special edition for Just a Bit Outside. We are talking some baseball, baby. That's right. It is almost baseball season. We're going to give you three short videos on the American League preview. This one is the American League East preview. We're going to go over these five teams' strengths, weaknesses, and give you some good future bets. It's going to be a lot of fun. I got two knuckleheads with me. We all know Jake. Jake, what's going on, my man?
Living the dream, getting ready for the season, baby.
That's right. There we go. And the other guy, you've seen Brian before. This is his son, Kai. What's going on? You ready to talk some baseball?
Oh, I'm ready. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for joining, man. Before we dive in, smash that like button. You guys are crushing it in the NBA videos. Please hit that like button. If you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for all the support. It's been a lot of fun. This is like my specialty. Baseball is like my first love. Don't tell my wife that, but it really is. So we're going to go through the AL East. And before we do that, let's show some division odds on who's going to win this division right here. There we go. Yankees are the favorite at plus 110. Blue Jays plus 215. Rays plus 380. And then it gets ugly. The Boston Red Sox are plus 1700. And we got the Orioles, the young Orioles at plus 2200. So with all that, now, just so you know also, if you are new to betting, this should help you out. So, are new to baseball betting at least, because I know I got a lot of followers that are more basketball, football, that kind of stuff. Just listen and you'll get into baseball. Don't worry, we'll turn you. And this will help you kind of know teams, players, and hopefully help with some betting during the season. So, here we go. Let's dive in to the New York Yankees. Before we do that, though, let's talk about this AL East standings. The Yankees were 99-63 last season. Blue Jays 92-70. Rays 86-76. Orioles somehow surprised everybody at 83-79, and the Red Sox just absolutely sucked, which I love to see from Boston teams. We saw the division odds. We'll go over under wins and all that. But let's start out with the most popular team in all of sports. We all hate them, but we got to talk about them. The New York Yankees, the defending AL East champs. Over-under wins for them are 94.5, so they are projected to get about 5 less wins than they had last year. Let's talk about their offseason real quick. Aaron Judge signed for $360 million. That would be nice. And then we got, they added Carlos Rodon, maybe one of the biggest pickups in the offseason, starting pitcher. He is elite, 2.37 ERA last year. He's a stud. And then, other than that, they didn't do too much. They got some young prospects that they're trying to get working for the shortstop position. But let's talk some strengths and weaknesses from this team. We got a lot to talk about. Kai, what do you think some strengths are for this team? What do you think about the Yankees overall?
I think that their starting pitching staff is a huge strength, especially with the addition of Carlos Rodon. Obviously, their lineup is insane too. I mean, when you have an Aaron Judge in the lineup, put any league average player around him, and it's still probably going to be pretty freaking good. But I would say that their weakness is their bullpen. I don't know, just not a lot of guys in here that when an opposing team is going against them, it doesn't really scare the living daylights out of me. But I would just say that's their weakness, and the starting pitching and lineup are pretty close.
Yeah, no, I think I think their lineup is good at the top, but I just don't think they have a lot of good players after that. Like you're talking guys like Josh Donaldson. What is he, 57 years old now? Harrison Bader. It's just not that good. And when you got the top of the order, Anthony Rizzo, guys, he's not young either. Giancarlo Stanton, I mean, Mr. Glass. I know we'll talk about him later, probably, Jake. But I just think this team depends on health. Aaron Judge hasn't always stayed healthy. Last year he was, and he was dominant. But Stanton, can he stay healthy? Rizzo, DJ LeMahieu. I just don't think this is the Yankees of old. I think, like what you said, I think it's all going to be starting pitching. Jake, what do you think about this Yankee team?
Unfortunately, they're going to be the Yankees. I think their biggest strength is going to be their power, just because you look at all those guys and they just hit and they hit. DJ LeMahieu, like you said, Rizzo, Stanton, Donaldson. Donaldson doesn't hit anything but home runs. He's a 200 guy, but he's still going to give you 25 bombs. That stadium is just geared for hitters. So, yeah, they're going to put up runs, and they're going to be one of those teams where pitching staff's going to have a 4 ERA, and they're going to win another 90 games. I don't think they do exactly what they did last year. And correct me if I'm wrong, but they went on a 52-18 tear at some point in time or something like that.
It
Like
was huge.
that's unheard of. That's unheard
Mhm.
of, right? You know, and that's hard for any team in any division to come back from. And not only that, but it's the Yankees, you know. So
Yeah.
they're going to hit, you know, and they just have to have a little bit of pitching to back up that hitting. And you're right, you know, Kai's right. Can that bullpen help out the starters? You know, we've seen over the last few years how the starting pitchers early in the season, you know, they're not going as long, but they were able to pull it together last year. Is Lightning going to strike twice? Wouldn't surprise me if it does with the Yankees.
Yeah, it's so bizarre because I'm so used to the Yankees just being this team that just crushes the baseball and scores a lot of runs. I just like kind of like Kai mentioned. The strength is not the lineup anymore. First of all, I don't see Aaron Judge hitting 60 bombs again, okay, or 62 whatever he hit. I just don't see it again. So even if he regresses down to 45, 50 home runs, you know, and then you got Stanton who can't stay healthy. You're kind of on guys like Gleyber Torres, you know, Harrison Bader, LeMahieu, who's in his mid 30s. I mean, we're talking a lineup that's just it's not as deep or as good as it used to be. And what I hate about watching about the Yankees is they just hit home runs or strike out pretty much. Not exactly, but that's not my kind of baseball. They're not guys who just love to make contact and get on base or anything like that. They just crush the ball or they don't. You know what I mean? But their rotation of Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Hector Cortez, dude, that guy, mustache and all, that guy looks like a dad, and he's just like on the mound dominating people, throwing like 88. And
Gotta love it.
Severino. Luis Severino is the wild card to me because he had a huge surgery, I think, 2 years ago when he was a beast. He came back a little bit last year, and so if he can bounce back to the old Luis Severino, I mean, these guys got like 4 legit starting pitchers. Their bullpen can be average, and they can hit some bombs. They're going to be the Yankees, like you said. So over under 94.5. You guys have any leans on that? They won 99 last year. You guys, Kai, you like that over under? You think it's about right?
I would go under. Yeah, I just think the Yankees kind of left a bad taste in my mouth towards the end of the season last year. Like you said, they went like 52-19 on a tear in the beginning of the year. And I believe they were one of the worst teams in August. And even then, when they started picking up wins, they didn't look like the same team at all. And I think we're going to see them closer to what they were in 2021 than what they were in 2022. And yeah, I don't see them getting better.
Yeah, weren't they talking about the Yankees maybe beating our Mariners season record of 116, and then they just completely folded, didn't even get to 100 wins? I mean, it got ugly quick for them. It really did. And I just don't think they're that great. I'm gonna be honest. They're not a World Series favorite to me. But yeah, Jake, what do you think? 94.5, about right?
Definitely under. I mean, I would go with 89. I just think they're gonna have a lot tougher time in their division this year, uh, in my opinion. So I'm sitting 89. That'd be
Yeah.
my guess.
Yeah, to me it's about right. I think 94.5. But you know what? They're going to be good still. But let's stop talking about the Yankees because I hate them. Let's go to the Blue Jays. They I don't know if you guys know this about the Blue Jays. They lost to the Mariners in the first round. I'm just saying.
Hi-yo.
The Mariners are the team to beat. No, I'm just joking. We'll get into that. But off season they had guys. They had some weaknesses, but they added Chris Bassett, good steady innings guy, starting pitcher. They needed him. They acquired Dalton Varsho from Arizona, a decent young player. I think he had like 27 bombs. He was a 3rd-round pick, but they lost. Speaking of the Mariners, they lost Teoscar Hernandez to the Mariners. Thank you, Toronto. So what the Toronto Blue Jays sucked at last year was outfield defense and just defense in general. So they traded offense for defense. They got Kevin Kiermaier. I don't know if you guys ever seen him play center field for the Rays. That guy can play some defense. Can he hit? Not really, but he can play some defense. So they made some pieces. They have some pieces here and there, but strength-wise, I mean, they have one of the best young pitchers in the game, Alek Manoah. I mean, he's just an absolute beast. He's only, I think, in his 3rd season. And you got Kevin Gausman to go with that. Now you got Bassett to add. You know, it's a decent rotation. They did, and their bullpen was their weakness last year, in my opinion. So they did take Eric Swanson away from the Mariners, but I don't really think that's that big. But you know, this is one of those teams that every single year everyone's saying, "Oh my God, they're going to win the World Series. This is going to be nuts." But they've just kind of fallen short. So, Jake, what do you think about this Blue Jay team?
I love their youth. I mean, especially like you said, picking up a couple of pitchers and everything like that. But I mean, you got Vlad Jr., man. I mean, that guy's an absolute stud. I just remember growing up watching his dad, and there's so much similarity.
Oh man,
And
yeah, it's
I just
crazy.
love that pipeline that the Blue Jays have with three former All Stars sons. I mean, I know Biggio's kid kind of goes up and down, but Bo
Mhm.
Bichette, Vlad Jr., the youth is there, the excitement's there. But they're teetering, in my opinion. They're teetering on that. Are they going to be a playoff contending team, or are they just going to be that team that everyone goes, what could have happened? What could have been?
Yeah.
How did they waste all of that good young talent? So,
Mhm.
um, like I said, the excitement's there. I feel like if they can ride that excitement, they could be a scary team in the East. But is it going to be youth, or is it going to be the veteran presence of other teams?
Yep. No, I agree. Yeah, Kyle, what do you think about this Blue Jay team?
Yeah, I think this Blue Jay team is. I think it's better than last season. I mean, last season I was pretty high on them going into the year, thinking they were gonna take the East pretty handedly. But like you said, they had some bullpen problems, and they did get Eric Swanson, who is a lefty killer. I don't have the specific stats in front of me, but he was a lefty killer last year. They had pitchers in the bullpen that struggled against lefty batters in general. Obviously, the lineup is still very good. They did lose Teoscar Hernandez, who was one of their best hitters, but they did get a young outfitter in Dalton Varsho, and I
Yeah.
think he was around almost a 5-win player last year. And yeah, and he hit like 27 home runs. So I still think that the lineup is still very good. I think the starting pitching staff is better. I am still iffy on the bullpen, even though they did add Eric Swanson. I just, anytime a bullpen reliever leaves the Mariners, you really never know how they're going to do.
That's true. And their bullpen sucked, and you saw it in the playoffs. My God, the Mariners destroyed their bullpen, and that was
Oh,
freaking awesome to see. But yeah, no, here's the thing with me. If Vlad is a superstar that we all thought was going to be like the Mike Trout, the better than his dad, this great player, right? He hit 311 with 48 bombs 2 years ago. And then last year he hits 274 with 32 bombs. You saw him, listen, 274, 32 bombs is nothing like bad. He's still a solid, unbelievable player. But can he get back to the superstar level? Bo Bichette, holy crap, was that the tale of two halves. He hit 290 overall in the season with 24 home runs, but he hit 337 in the second half. That just shows you how terrible he was in the first half. So, I mean, if you're going to ride these young superstars, you got to get the best of them. If Vlad and Bichette are not playing like superstar or star level baseball, this team doesn't have the pitching to make up for it, in my opinion. But if they are, they can be special because, Manoah, Gaussman, and then if Vlad and Bichette are just dominating, it's one of those teams that to me it could go not either way. I mean, they're not going to be bad, but I don't know. They have some expectations to live up to, and they still haven't won a playoff game in a while. Just saying. I don't know why, but the Mariners did sweep them.
Hi-yo.
And you know what? You know what? Screw them because the Toronto fans come to Seattle all the freaking time and take over our ballpark and start yelling and start just acting like it's their home game. So that's what made me so happy. Did I cry when they won a playoff series, the Mariners? Maybe. I could have. There was, it's allergies and things like
A
that
lot
going
of
on.
it. A lot of it.
Yeah, just a lot of it. So screw the Blue Jays, but they have a good team. We'll talk a little bit more about them later in the best bets probably. But let's move on. We don't need to talk too much about the crappy teams, but Tampa Bay Rays 86 and 76 on the season last year. This is kind of a boring team, guys. I'm going to be really honest with you. They're also a weird team how they handle pitching. They're the ones that started out with the bullpen openers and just doing weird things. But here's their offseason because they're the Rays. What do they have? Like a $20 million salary cap that they put on themselves where they don't sign anybody? They signed Zach Eflin to a franchise record contract. Zach Eflin had the franchise record contract, 3 years at $40 million. That was a
Oh,
franchise
wow.
record contract. They did
And you
not
had
add a
Evan
bat.
Longoria.
Yeah, I know. What happened to him, by the way? Holy cow. They didn't add a bat and they needed one. But to me, we all know the Rays. It is all about pitching. They have guys coming out of the pen that throw 185 miles an hour, and every single one of them do. Their starting pitching to me is, it's pretty good. If you were following fantasy and really following these Rays, I had a couple of them on my fantasy team. That's why I know. But when you got a starting rotation of Shane McClanahan, who's an absolute stud, we all know him, and then Rasmussen and Springs, both of those guys were bullpen guys. They turned into starters. Rasmussen threw 146 innings, had a 2.84 ERA. Springs was converted from the bullpen also. He threw 135 innings. I expect them to be kind of stretched out a little bit more, but he had a 2.46 ERA. I mean, we're talking elite stuff. Eflin, by the way, the last 3 seasons, he's been right around a 4 ERA, and he gets paid $40 million, which is a huge contract. So anyways, I think their starting rotation's legit. Their bullpen is always legit. Don't make me name every single bullpen guy because, Fairbanks, I know he's a stud. But, other than that, their lineup is their weakness, in my opinion. They just, you got guys like a Rosarena and Mr. Wander Franco. Is he going to step up? But, Kai, what do you think about this Rays team? Kind of middling team, or they got some talent?
Yeah, I think they kind of are in the middle of the pack in this division. It really felt like last year they were being carried by their pitching. I know a lot of guys in their lineup did get hurt. I don't remember exactly, but I think Brandon Lowe went down, Wander Franco went down. But, Wander Franco's been marketed as this big superstar on the level of like the Julio Rodriguez, Fernando Tatis. So, if he's healthy all year and they got their pitching's going well, I think they're going to sneak into the playoffs again, but it just all depends.
Yeah. What do you think about Rosarena? Do you like him? Because he's kind of he's supposed to be the stud, and he hasn't seemed to take that next step.
Yeah, I know he hasn't at all. So I really don't have an opinion on him.
Yeah, he hit 270 with 20 home runs. I mean, he's a good player, but when he's like your main hitter in the lineup, you're counting on Wander Franco. I don't know how old Wander Franco is, but I'm assuming he's like 22 still in that range. I don't know, something like that. When you're counting on a guy like that, it's never a good lineup. And I have Brandon Lowe every time. Lau. I don't know. One of them is Lau. I have him like 3 years in a row in my fantasy, and I swear to God, he gets hurt like every single year. But he drops bombs when he does play. I mean, he hits a lot of bombs. But yeah, Jake. Oh, go ahead.
His last full season, he hit like 40 or something like that.
Yeah, he was a stud. I think that was the year I won the fantasy championship. I'm just saying. But I will say, their 5 through 9 hitters just suck. I mean, they're just not a good hitting team. By the way, also in that starting pitching rotation, they actually have Tyler Glasnow. If you know him, he's a stud, but he's hurt, so I don't know when he's coming back this year. Jake, what do you think about this super thrilling Tampa Bay Rays team?
Tampa Bay is the team that you like. They are the prototypical get on base, score a couple of runs. Pitching and defense is going to win you games. I like them as an old school baseball team because they're not all about home runs and strikeouts, and that's it. That's how they're going to score, and that's how they're going to win. They're a grinding team. 86 wins in a tough division is never, something to be sad about. The AL East typically is, for the last 20 years has been the top league in, our division, I guess you could say, in the AL. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we talk about the AL West a little bit later and everything like that, but, you've always had the Yankees, you've always had the Red Sox, and the Rays are always just sneaking in there. You know what I mean? They're taking those 2 games out of, those 2 out of 3s every couple of weeks that you don't think they're going to. They're going to sneak and they're going to grab and they're going to fight and they're going to claw. So, They're sneaky. I don't think they're better or going to do anything, with the Yankees or the Jays, but,
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you always assume, okay, the Rays aren't going to be good, and all of a sudden they're in the playoff race every year. And they rely on pitching. I mean, for what they do with how much money they're able to spend on that organization, it's, a la Oakland A's, but the Rays have been more consistent. It's unbelievable. I mean, what the Mariners have done with so much more money is brutal compared to what the Rays have done. I mean, it's ugly. But Rays are going to be right there. Great pitching and not a lot of offense. So we'll see what happens. And they lost didn't they have Mike Zunino last year? Or is that they did, right?
He was on there last year, yeah. But I think
that's a huge loss. Huge loss. Mr. Zunino. Yeah, they lost the 190 hitter.
I didn't want him when he was with the Mariners.
Yeah, he's good with the pitchers, though. My God, how many sliders does he swing at in the other batter's box? Anyways,
how many
that's Tampa Bay Rays.
Catch behind the plate.
Baltimore Orioles, guys. This is like the Mariners 2 years ago. This is a good, fun young team to watch. Last season, 83-79. Do you know what they were the year before that? 52 wins. They went from 52 to 83 wins. That's absolutely bonkers. They were probably, other than the Mariners, they were probably the story of the American League last year. I mean, they were actually in the playoff race for right down to the end almost. In the offseason, they added 2 veteran starting pitchers. They didn't do a lot because they got a bunch of young players that they're waiting to develop. They added Cole Irvin and Kyle Gibson. But this team's all about the prospects, especially one Adley Rutschman. He is a good player. Yeah. Oh, that's why you like him so much.
Love him. Don't like
He's
him
a
at all. I love
beaver.
him.
Holy cow, that's right.
Yeah, buddy.
Anyways, this team just has an abundance of great young talent. I mean, they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. They have a good closer, and Felix Batista is a good player. But I just love Gunnar Henderson, by the way. I don't know a ton about him, but he is the top prospect in baseball, and he's going to be playing for this Orioles team. But, I mean, you're looking at a lineup of Cedric Mullins, who he had a down year last year, but I think he'll bounce back. Adley Rutschman. Then you got Gunnar Henderson. And you got Santander. I mean, you got some pieces to this team where it's not just a joke like they've been kind of recently. Yeah, Kai, what do you think of this Orioles team? You think they're just overperformed last year, kind of, or you think they're actually on their way up?
Yeah, they have a lot of young talent, and that they did overperform last year, I think, and I don't really think they got better this offseason. I know they added Cole Irvin, but if you're a Mariner fan, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't think they did enough this offseason to compete. I mean, like I'm a big Ryan Mountcastle guy, and yeah, I just don't think they got better. So I can't see it. I know they have a lot of young talent, and they have a promising roster. I don't see them making much noise this year.
No, I agree. Their starting pitcher pitching, Grayson Rodriguez, is also a very high top prospect that they're going to count on. But you know how rookies go. You don't know what you're going to get out of them. John Means is kind of their ace, but he's hurt. I don't think he's going to be back for a while. So their starting pitchers got a lot of work. I just think it's one of those teams where they're just still developing. But Jake, do you want to talk about your Beaver, Adley Rutschman, or anybody else in this team?
I mean, how can you not talk about Big A, right? Adley's the best catching prospect that we've seen in years. You know, they talk about, I'm not a fan of the guy, but he's, the next Buster Posey. Just the big difference is Joe Mauer, switch hitting guy, the biggest thing, like you guys keep talking about, is the youth of this team and what happens with youth. We've had to deal with it with our fan base for years, where you have super high peaks and super low lows. You talked about Vlad Jr. just earlier about the difference between his first and his second years. That's what we're going to see this year. Is people have finally got a scouting report on him. There's a big difference between your minor league scouting report and then your major league scouting report. There's a reason why the divisions single A, double A, triple A, guys can move up real fast and guys can take forever to move up, right? So you come in, you're going to try to beat those guys early, and they're going to be excited to swing. So they're getting knocks, they're getting runs, so on and so forth. But this year, there's going to be a lot bigger and better scouting reports. And I think you're going to see numbers dip. And I think you're going to see that reflect in the wins and loss columns for these guys.
Sophomore slumps.
Exactly.
Yep.
Baseball is a fickle sport. It can turn in a hurry on you. So they won 83 games. They won some close games. I mean, it was kind of a lucky season. Not saying they're not a good team, but their over-under after winning 83 last year is now 76.5. So they are projected to have kind of that dip. And, without an elite starting pitching rotation, I can see them dropping, but I still see them right around 500. But if things go right and some of these young prospects hit, guys, I mean, we're talking a team that should easily go over 76.5. I mean, that's just my opinion. Also, I don't know if people know this, but we are now not playing 19 or 20 games against every divisional team. It is now dropped to 13 divisional games against everybody. So you're playing the division less, which for them could help, especially if you're playing the AL Central, which we'll do in another video. But that means 6 less game against the Yankees, 6 less against the Blue Jays, 6 less against the Rays, things like that. I just think that helps a young team like this. So, yeah, that's the Orioles. Let's dive into this terrible team, and then we'll wrap it up with some best bets. But the Boston Red Sox, how weird is it to see them being terrible? I love it. I just can't stop
Amazing.
smiling. Yeah, it's freaking awesome. I love it. 78 and 84 last year, and their over-under is 78.5. So the books are projecting them to win and do exactly what they did last year, pretty much. It's kind of a transition year. They lost Xander Bogaerts to the Padres. That's right. They let him walk. They lost Trevor Story to elbow surgery. Not really lost him, but he's going to be out for a very long time. So this infield sucks. So the only good infielder they have was Rafael Devers, and they signed him to a $300 million contract. It is the Devers show in Boston now. They added Japanese left fielder Masataka Yoshida. Ooh, I nailed that. He's supposed to be pretty good. I don't know a lot about him, but is he a contact guy? Anybody know much about this Yoshida guy?
Never heard of him.
Good deal. Yeah, thanks for that help. Hey, don't you know him, Kai? Yeah, Masataka Yoshida.
Yeah, isn't he the pitcher that's been like marketed as having the crazy forkball?
No, this is a left fielder.
I don't know why.
Yeah, no, all the names sound. Is it Hasagawa, Yoshida, Yasakawa? They're
Yeah.
all. I get confused. Okay. Anyways, they also added Justin Turner, which is a huge pickup. He's like 47 years old, so that was huge. He might hit 200. But he's got a nice big red beard. I'm not gonna lie. Justin Turner from the Dodgers, he's got a nice beard.
And he just got hit in the face the other day.
Yeah, he did. That's right. I forgot about that. I don't know why I just laughed. That's not funny. Anyways,
it's not funny at all.
The top of the order is still pretty good. I mean, it depends on this Yoshida guy, but Rafael Devers, Verdugo's okay. There's not a lot of strength on this team. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat it. Their pitching is horrendous. Chris Sale, by the way, I don't know if you guys know that he still plays baseball. He's 34 years old, and he has thrown 48 innings in the last 2 years. Yeah, solid. Really, he's thrown 48 innings and made a shite load of money. Corey Kluber is their second pitcher. Guess how old he is? 37. What's that?
I said he's already injured in my mind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's done. He's not even there. Kluber's 37. And guess who their third pitcher is? I don't know if you guys know this. James Paxton. Mr. Jimmy. Can you believe that? I didn't even know he's still playing baseball. We're talking about a guy who has legit stuff, but he can't stay healthy. He's 33. He's thrown 21 innings in the last 3 years. Sorry,
talk about a curse. Fan. When he left the Mariners, that was the greatest thing ever. Hated losing him, especially hated losing to the Yankees. And then he just tanked.
Yeah, he just can't stay healthy. And you feel bad for players like that because Paxton had, if he stayed healthy, he had all the stuff to be an elite pitcher every year. I mean, he was good. He really did. Nick Pivetta, he's just an inconsistent pitcher. I mean, we're talking a 34-year-old, 37-year-old, and 33-year-old who have all barely thrown any innings, and Nick Pivetta. This is a horrendous pitching rotation, guys. Their bullpen isn't any better. You guys can go briefly. You guys got anything to say, Jake, about this Red Sox team that's just sucky?
I just want to go to Fenway. I think it'd be sweet.
That would be sweet.
I don't care about the Red Sox, period. But I'd go watch a terrible team just to go see the stadium.
Well said. Yeah, well said. Kai, you got anything to say about this crappy team?
Garbage, but I mean, I do have something to add about Yoshida. I heard his outfield defense is awful. I remember I was listening to a Mariners podcast, and they were if the Mariners signed him, they're like he's not a good defender. He's going to be like another Jesse Winker out there. It's pretty bad.
And he's a left fielder, so he gets to play on the big green monster in Boston. Oh, yeah. He's not going to know what to do with that thing. He's just going to be lost. Oh, man. So that's the AL East, guys. There is a couple teams top heavy. We are going to give you our best bets in this AL East, and I'm going to begin. I'm going to go with Mr. Shane McClanahan for the Tampa Bay Rays to win the Cy Young at plus 1,200. This lefty is a freaking stud. The only thing I worry about with him is getting enough wins because the Rays can't score to save their freaking life. But he was in the 93rd percentile on Ks. I mean, this guy will rack up the Ks. He had a 2.5 ERA last year. The XFIP, all the underlying metrics show that ERA was legit. And I expect him to have another good year. I think him not being in the top 2, top 3 favorite is just great odds at plus 1,200. So I love Shane McClanahan for the Rays to win the Cy Young. And then my second bet, this might be stupid, but I'm going to do it anyways. The Baltimore Fighting Adley Rutschman's Orioles to make the playoffs at plus 350. Let's talk about this real quick. You got the Astros, right? And of course the Mariners. Let's just go over the 6 teams, right? Let's just say the Astros win the division. White Sox. Okay, we'll say the Guardians win the division. We'll talk about that later.
Thank you.
And then Yankees. Let's just say 3 teams. Then you got the Blue Jays and Mariners as 2 wild cards, right? Or either order, right? Those are kind of 5 teams that you're like, you expect them to make the playoffs. That's 16. We're talking the Twins, maybe the White Sox or the Rays, something like that. The Orioles have a chance. I'm not sitting here saying they're going to win their division, but plus 350, I'll take a chance if these the Gunnar Hendersons and all those guys can step up. Plus 350 to make the playoffs. Those are my 2 bets. Mr. Kai, what do you got for best bets for this division?
Well, my best bets today, I got Blue Jays plus 215 to win the division. Like I said earlier, I think although they did take a hefty loss in Teoscar Hernandez, I do think they overall improved, and we're just going to say that their bullpen's improved because of what Eric Swanson did last year. And then my second bet, I'm going to do Aaron Judge over 45.5 home runs. He's not going to hit 60 plus, but I'm pretty confident, especially playing in Yankee Stadium, that he's going to hit 45.5.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's that low. I'm not expecting 62 again, but to drop at 17 bombs is, it's whether or not he can stay healthy too, because he did have some health issues. But yeah, I like it. Jake, what do you got for your best bets? Adley Rutschman for president?
Well, that's a given. That's 2034 though, so we're gonna wait a few years. No, Kai and I had a real similar thought pattern here. I've got the Blue Jays winning the division at plus 215. I just think that youth, I think they're going to be amped up and they're just going to win a bunch of games. I think they're going to be able to overtake the Yankees at the end of the season, as long as they can weather some of the early storms and everything like that. So I got the Blue Jays at plus 215 to win the division. And then my second best bet is going to be Giancarlo Stanton over 30.5 bombs. My thought process is this. He's going to be healthy this year, whether it's going to be in the outfield or he's going to be playing DH. No one's going to want to throw to Aaron Judge, so they're going to have to throw to him. He's that guy that as long as he makes contact, the ball goes 747 feet. So he's going to see pitches, especially when he's healthy. What were we talking about earlier? He's got an over-under of 20 games to play this year. Yeah, he's going to play 110. He's going to hit 32 bombs. That's fine. 32. That's all I need. But he's going to see pitches, and he's going to hit bombs, and he'll be perfectly fine.
And we're talking about a guy. What was his big year in Miami? Was it 60 bombs, or was it just 50 something? It was huge, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was.
Well, when he first got to the Yankees, I mean, he had over 40 bombs, but then
and
the injury bug hit him.
Swing too. Like he doesn't even follow through, and the ball just jumps off his bat. It is unbelievable. But I mean, really, what you're doing is you're making a bet on if he's healthy, I win. If he's unhealthy, I lose. That's really what it is. Because if this guy's playing even 140 games, you're getting, over 30 bombs with him. You would think, unless he completely falls off. So it's not a bad bet. I just don't think he stays healthy. So that's just
that's a minus 115. So it's a fairly favorable bet. But
yeah, no, I don't mind the odds, and 30 does seem low. So there you go. 2 Blue Jay bets and 2 Yankee home run bets. So let's go over the bets recap. Let's check that screen out. Look at that beauty. Wow. Stevens bets. The 2 winners, McClanahan, Cy Young, plus 1,200. Orioles to make the playoffs, plus 350. Okay, I can't say that's a winner. That's a long shot. But Kai, Blue Jays to win the division, plus 215. And Aaron Judge over 45.5 home runs after just hitting about 62 of them last year. And he's still playing in the wiffle ball park. So Blue Jays to win the division for Jake, plus 215. And then Giancarlo Stanton, over 30.5 bombs at minus 115. Those are our best future bets for this division. Thanks for listening. If you have any baseball questions, and I know some of my followers do, you guys ask it in Discord all the time, leave a comment below. Just smash the like button. Leave as many comments as you want. I'm here to help. I will talk baseball all day, every day. I do have a wife and kids, but if I didn't have that, I would talk it 24 hours a day. I freaking love baseball. This has been a lot of fun. We are going to do an AL Central preview and an AL West preview. That should be coming out pretty soon, too. Thanks for listening. Thanks for all the support. We appreciate it. Jake, Kai, thanks for joining. We're going to do a couple more videos and have some fun. So thanks again. We'll talk to you guys soon.